Good afternoon, and we are honored to be joined today by the U.S. Department of the Interior Secretary, Ken Salazar, and the Director of the National Park Service, John Jarvis. So, John, there you are, and Commissioner, or Secretary, as well as a diverse group that together is writing an exciting new chapter for one of the city's most precious resources, and that is Jamaica Bay. And for those of you that don't know, this is just one of the jewels in the waterfront of New York City. It is located in Queens, sort of near Kennedy Airport, to put that in your mind, and it has enormous significance in terms of the environment and ecology. It is a great resource for the city. In October, you may remember, last year, Secretary Salazar and I signed an agreement that will unify the many public parks surrounding Jamaica Bay, which have historically fallen under separate jurisdictions and separate sets of regulations, into one grand public park. This agreement will bring tremendous benefits to the Bay and the visitors who enjoy it, benefits like cleaner water and restored natural landscapes, more outdoor recreation like hiking and camping and swimming and fishing, more educational and service opportunities for children and families, and an improved sustainable transportation framework that will make the parks more accessible via mass transit, greenways, and bikeways, while making it easier to move between park areas. Now, we've already taken a number of important steps towards making this vision a reality. For example, we've joined forces to protect thousands of acres of Jamaica Bay by creating a no-discharge zone where boaters are no longer permitted to release sewage. We've reached out to surrounding communities to increase opportunities for young people to experience nature and play an active role in preserving it. And as we speak, more than 100 city interns are teaming up with the National Park Service to do shoreline cleanup and dune protection work at Fort Tilden Beach. Today, I'm happy to announce we are taking a number of additional steps forward. First, we're signing off on a cooperative management agreement that establishes guidelines for how the parklands will be operated, delivering on a promise that we made in October. Second, we're announcing a task force that will make recommendations within the next 60 days for the establishment of a permanent Friends Conservancy dedicated to the parks of Jamaica Bay. It will be chaired by my friend and partner, Tom Secunda, chairman of the National Parks Conservation Association. Tom, thank you for taking this on. As I've said to you when we talk about the company, don't screw it up. Tom has long been one of the great defenders of our city's natural resources, and the association has done outstanding work for Jamaica Bay and the Gateway National Recreation Area under his watch. Tom, you should know, is one of the great philanthropists here in New York City. He can afford to do it, incidentally, but he is doing it, which is what's really important, because there are a lot of people that can afford it but don't. And today we're joined by a number of people who can afford it and do. He'll be joined by a dream team of New York City Parks champions, many of whom are with us today. Third, we are releasing a RFEI, which is a request for expressions of interest, to operate a state-of-the-art science and resilience center located on public Jamaica Bay parkland. The research center will work to build a sustainable path forward for the Bay and its surrounding parkland, tackling the challenges of how to preserve urban ecosystems and maximizing public access. It's the latest example of our determination to make NYC a global center in 21st century applied science, and it will make the city a leader in the study of urban ecosystems, much like the new Cornell NYC Tech campus on Roosevelt Island will make us a leader in advanced engineering study. Fourth, the National Park Service is releasing for public review their draft plan for Gateway National Recreation Area and different options for how it might look. The city, you should know, has collaborated extensively on this planning document and will continue to work closely with the National Park Service to make sure New Yorkers' voices play a central role in the park's design. Secretary Salazar will talk a little more about that, but before he does, I just wanted to thank some of the people whose support has been crucial to the success of this partnership. And that starts with John Jarvis, Director of the National Park Service, Maria Burks, Commissioner of the National Parks of New York Harbor, and Linda Canzanelli, Superintendent of the Gateway National Recreation Center. And it includes the Rockefeller Foundation and its Chief Operating Officer, Peter Madonia. And I want to thank Peter for his leadership and commitment. He was one of the key players in our administration for the first 4 years, and then we traded him, lost him, sold him. I don't know what we got in return to the Rockefeller Foundation. Traded up, but yeah, Judy says good things about you, I will say that. Peter may be a Bronx boy, but he has made clear that Jamaica Bay and the Rockaways have a special place in his heart. When you're finished this and you really want some good pastry, the Madonia Bakery is on Arthur Avenue up in the Bronx. Call 311 for instructions on how to get there. I'm sure all of you know that the Rockefeller Foundation has a long tradition of defending our natural resources. Its investment in a first-of-its-kind resilience center, which can one day be replicated in other cities, I think is just the latest example of the Foundation's work to strengthen and prepare the world's communities for the future. And I also want to thank the team at National Grid for their backing, including Eileen Sifoni, who is with us today, and I'm excited that one of our great conservation philanthropists, Louis Bacon of Moore Capital Foundation, and Ann Colley, his assistant, are here today and involved in this important work. Louis knows more about the wildlife world than I will ever know, and he is one of my heroes. The annoying thing is he probably hits the golf ball much further than I do, but you know, what can you do? I want to also thank two key government partners, the Army Corps of Engineers and the State Department of Environmental Conservation, represented here today by Colonel John Boulay and Venetia Lannon, as well as Kate Asher, another former administration executive. She is now of Happold Consulting. And a very special thanks to a hero of all of us, the incomparable Maryland High School chair and co-founder of the National Parks of New York Harbor Conservancy, and I wanted to thank her specifically for her leadership and support. And always projects at City Hall, Deputy Mayors Patty Harris and Kaz Holloway, Commissioners Adrian Benepe and David Bragdon, and Nanette Smith, who really runs everything, no matter what you say. And lastly, our friends from San Francisco's Golden Gate Park, particularly Kathy Barner, who is with us today, for her advice and guidance on this effort, and Tom Kiernan and his team at the National Parks Conservation Association. And now I would like to invite Secretary Salazar to share a few words. Mr. Secretary.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Let me first say thank you to everybody who the Mayor mentioned, echo my great and passionate sense of gratitude for making a reality here that we will establish a great urban park in New York. It seems like it was only yesterday, but it's almost 4 years ago, and I received a letter from Marion High School, and she said, "You have a crown jewel of America right here in America's largest city, Jamaica Bay." It was a handwritten note, and she said, "Come to New York, and we can tear down the silos between New York and between all the national parks, so we can move forward and create this great urban park in America." And so as part of President Barack Obama's America's Great Outdoors program for the last several years, I've had the honor of overseeing America's landscapes and national parks from sea to shining sea, from Acadia to the Everglades to Yellowstone to the Grand Canyon. But here in America, here in New York, we are putting a special focus on what we do with the connection of people who live in urban areas to our great outdoors. And we're doing it not only in New York, but we're doing it in St. Louis and Los Angeles and Denver and the Rocky Mountain Greenway and places like San Antonio. But it's here in New York where you have Jamaica Bay and the possibility of providing a great opportunity for the 18 million people who live within the proximity of Jamaica Bay, an opportunity to experience the great outdoors. And we have been working on this agenda and implementing it now for some time with the great leadership of the City of New York and Mayor Bloomberg and the National Park Service. And there are already things that are happening out there, from education to the creation of one of the most important and largest urban campgrounds, which have been full, as I understand, all during this year at Floyd Bennett Field, to the creation of trails that will connect up Jamaica Bay to this city. But it's also very true that we need to do more, because what this mayor has done here is to move America forward to recognize the great outdoor spaces. This is not Colorado and it is not Wyoming, it is New York. And so it is important for people to understand that there are some very important places where people can have access and which can continue to make this city the great city that it has been under this mayor's leadership. And so the formal agreements which we will sign today will ensure that the United States of America and New York are working seamlessly across our authorities, across our funding sources, across our agencies to develop the highest quality experience for people who come and visit New York. Why do we do this? What are the values that impel us to do this? The first is, I will submit to all of you, economics. Tourism and outdoor recreation are huge for the United States of America. Some 9 million jobs created every year through outdoor recreation and preservation all across the United States. At Liberty Island, where I just visited for a few minutes a while ago, we already are seeing, even though the statue is still closed for another month or two until we're going to have a major reopening there, but visitation is already 10% up there from where it was a year ago. And so we know what happens when you have the greatness of those iconic symbols, how they attract people from all over the world, whether it's Brazil or whether it's Europe, to come and spend their dollars here. And obviously New York and the rest of the nation very much depend on that economic aspect of what we do in conservation. The second is health. You think about the nature deficits which our children encounter all over this world. It's what drives Louis Bacon to recognize the importance of conservation and the great outdoors of America. How do we connect up our young people so that they can understand what it's like to see the stars or to see the waters, to see the wildlife that lives in this water? But we're going to do it here for health reasons, because we know that when people move outside, when they work in the outdoors, or they play in the outdoors, that we have a healthier city, we have a healthier America. So those are our impellers, and moving forward today with the signing of this agreement, we'll make sure that we are in the position to institutionalize this effort forever, because that is what Marion High School, that's what Mayor Bloomberg and so many others have worked on. Now it's my honor to introduce the Director of the United States National Park Service. He oversees 23,000 people, and as Ken Burns and Dayton Duncan would say, America's best ideas, the national parks of the United States of America. John Jarvis.
Thank you. Thank you, Secretary. You know, in my 36 years with the National Park Service, I don't think I've ever rolled out a general management plan with the Secretary of the Interior and the mayor of a great city like New York. But in many ways, it's very, very appropriate here, because New York exemplifies the recognition that urban parks are so essential to our society. They provide so many benefits to the people, whether it's social, health, economic, just a respite from all the challenges of any given day. And this mayor and Adrian Benepe, his commissioner, really get it and have demonstrated it throughout the city. So this is an extraordinary opportunity for the National Park Service to directly engage in partnership with the City of New York to take this extraordinary resource. And if you look over there at that screenshot, you can see in many ways that's perfectly an example of how there's been a division between the dark green, which was under the responsibilities of the National Park Service, and the light green under the responsibilities of the city. And you know, frankly, the American public don't really care. They want to have a great experience. They want to have access. They want to have transportation. They want to get to the beach, and they want to take advantage of this extraordinary resource. I mean, we're looking at thousands of acres of wildlife habitat, of places to bicycle, to sit on the beach, to observe birds, to kayak, and to learn. So the combination of creating a seamless experience for the American public and for the people of New York at Jamaica Bay is right here now, and it came as a result of extraordinary work. These are two institutions that had not really worked together in any robust way, and we are there. It came with the vision that Mayor Bloomberg and the Secretary laid upon our shoulders here a few years ago, and Maria Burks and Adrian Benepe and Marion High School and so many people really worked hard to get us to this point. So the agreement they are signing is not just fluff. It's real. It's really the announcement of something that will last the test of time. It will put our two organizations, that bring the best of the two organizations together in partnership, along with the nonprofit and the private sector as well, to create an extraordinary resource for this country. And the benefits of this will be, our children's children will be reaping well into the future. So this is a great day for everybody. Been a lot of people thanked, and I'm not going to repeat that, but I just reemphasize there have been a lot of people involved with their sleeves rolled up to get us to this point. And I'll just say that I think that we have other models around the country that don't necessarily work in New York, but they are inspirations for New York, and Golden Gate and others that have been a part of that. I appreciate the work of NPCA as well that have helped guide this all along. And so this is a great day for the people of New York City and for the American public. Thanks.
John, thank you. Both you and the Secretary talked about the value of the great outdoors to people's health. You should know that in New York City, with our sustainability plan, Plan YC, we have a commitment to make sure that everybody in the city lives within a 10-minute walk of a park, and this is one of them. And to show you that parks really do work, we've put billions and billions of dollars of city taxpayer monies into our parks. And today, I'm very proud of the fact that life expectancy in New York City is almost 3 years greater than it is in the rest of the country on average. And those 3-year improvements, that whole 3-year improvement has come in the last 10 years. And we think that we can improve life expectancy even more. And when you talk about jobs and tourism, we had 50.5 million visitors last year. And to show you that it really does impact the employment picture, particularly for people starting up the economic ladder, New York City has replaced over 200% of the private sector jobs that we lost during the recession compared to the national average of something only like 40%. So all of this stuff really does work. It does matter. It impacts everybody. Before we sign our cooperative management agreement, I just wanted to, and then we'll take some questions on topic, I just wanted to, for our Spanish-speaking audience, summarize what we talked about here today. Estamos tomando nuevas medidas para mejorar los parques en el área de Jamaica Bay. Los parques estarán más limpios y sostenibles y tendrán más opciones de recreo y deportes para familias. También habrá un centro de ciencia para conservar los recursos naturales del área. And with that, the Secretary and I are going to sign the historic agreement. If we can figure out how to use these pens, which are different.